from footballs to a different kind of orb, let's talk about Worldcoin. Brandon covered this on the show a very long time ago.
The first ever episode of Unusual Suspects.
Really?
I talked about this, yeah.
Well, it's the oldest video on the page. I don't think it was the first episode.
Well, yeah,
because it had
Cigar Lounge with.
it had Vinny hosting.
if you
so
click
it's
on
not
the video
first
tab
episode.
and hit oldest, this is the first one that
Yeah,
comes
if you
up.
go to our
Okay.
page and click on oldest, this is the oldest one, and that was what, like late 2023, probably.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's recap for anyone who's new to the channel, because I think we had what, like 1,000 subs at that point.
Yeah.
So Worldcoin is a cryptocurrency and digital ID created by Sam Altman, the creator of OpenAI and ChatGPT, along with this other guy, Alex Blania, who is the leader of a company called Tools for Humanity. Their project is called Worldcoin. It is a precursor to universal basic income and a bunch of other innovative approaches to cryptocurrency. All that is necessary for you to unlock this technology and access Worldcoin is to let it scan your retina and take a 3D model of your face. So this is the orb. It first went public, I believe, in like the summer of 2023 on a world tour in a bunch of different major cities. These little metal orbs were set up. People lined up for miles around the block to scan this. So you go, you stare into the orb. It takes a scan of your retina, it maps your face, and then it creates your account based on that and gives you free Worldcoin. That's the first weird thing about it. But the point of this is that it's supposed to be, you know, the CAPTCHA tests, basically, like would it prove you're human? Click on everything that has a fire hydrant in it, those kind of tests. The point here is that now instead of doing that, you just scan your iris. You let it look at your eye to verify that your identity exists.
Right.
And it's generating free cryptocurrency for you every time you do it, which is very odd.
Every time you do what?
Every time you let it scan your face and your eye, it's putting free crypto into your account. With the point being, it's meant to further the cause of universal basic income, which is a huge thing for Sam Altman.
So what? It calibrates your measurements and metrics better each time it scans you. Is that why there's an incentive to do it multiple times?
It seems to be the case, but
so they say when the product's free, you're the commodity or something.
Exactly.
So like when it's paying you to do it, it's probably like a step further than that.
That's what I wanted to get to, because I'll go to this last point, then we can open it up. We talked a couple months ago about 23andMe going bankrupt and a state attorney general's warning, delete your data. We have no idea what they're going to do with this. It seems like 23andMe might actually be selling off data, which I guarantee you they already were long before they went bankrupt, because, you know, why would you trust a corporation to have the complete genetic workup on you? But the way that they are turning people into commodities, think about it. These have our thumbprints in them. The newer ones unlock with a scan of your face. Now you can access crypto and digital ID with a scan of your eyeball. 23andMe might be auctioning your DNA off to the highest bidder. They are commoditizing human beings, and in the last few years, there has been this absolute gold rush on biometric data that is a little concerning. And the reason we're talking about Worldcoin now is that Sam Altman just announced that it's about to launch in the US as well. At a press conference earlier this week, he said that it is coming to, I believe, 6 major US cities, including Atlanta, Austin, Los Angeles, Miami, Nashville, and San Francisco. They already have 12 million people registered when this thing was on its world tour a few years ago. But if you look at who invested into this, it gets even more disturbing. They got capital from Andreessen Horowitz, from Reid Hoffman, from the people who run Coinbase. It has like a roughly $1 billion valuation, according to the last available data, which isn't even from within the last 2 years. So there's some big names involved in this thing. And my question to you guys is, why do you think there is now this huge push to get everybody's biometric data available? What are the tech and crypto bros trying to do with this?
Well, they say data's the new oil, and that's because the ability to have all the data or the best data gives you the best AI, and these guys I keep saying, it's like, you guys ever see the 007 movie, like the new ones with Daniel Craig?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So remember, there's Spectre, where it's like kind of like the global elite, the cabal, right?
Yeah.
Then you think that spoiler alert, but you think like, oh wow, like that's like the top level he'll ever face. But then the next episode, boom, like the tech guy comes in, like just kills all of them, and then he's the new good guy. So, or he's the new bad guy. So that's like what happened, I think, with Davos and the World Economic Forum and those type of people. Like the technocrats, like figuratively killed them, and they're the new threat. And I mean, like Mark Andreessen, like is totally against them. Like all the tech guys, like Peter Thiel, are totally against, like with Klaus Schwab and the people who wanted to limit like the growths and like limit carbon and like make everything solar and whatnot. But like they present a threat of their own and like putting us in like a digital gulag essentially.
Have you guys ever seen the shows Altered Carbon?
Yes.
And Upload?
No. To both.
Altered Carbon, it's like you were saying, where the elites can pay and afford to like live forever, make copies of themselves, so they just live for a very, 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 very long time. Upload is where when you die, you can upload your consciousness to the digital world and live forever. I don't know about that, but I just, based off the first story that we covered in terms of like how the grid could get shut down and like how we'll need to use like Earth's resources and be more in person and have actual skill sets and be athletic and be smart and be resourceful, versus these tech
Bros.
Well, no, I think they're geniuses. Like, that's so cool to think of a world where we could do so much more and get to experience so much more because of everything they could do. But like, I'm concerned that, you know, doomsday-ish event could happen and like that won't even be a possibility. So to get this to like, how far do you go in this tech world to?
I think that creates that. Like, I think that the blackouts could be like a way to say like, oh, we need to like centralize everything and like make it this way so that never happens again. Because like, you know, if a scary thing happens, then it's easier to like justify a thing that might have sounded crazy or like invasive before that. Like, you know, 9/11 with the Patriot Act, like nothing's been the same since the Patriot Act. And like Palantir was built on the back of 9/11. Like Palantir started collecting all of our data after 9/11.
I'm not necessarily scared of anybody collecting my data.
You should be.
Well, I mean, you know, we're already on the internet. Like everything on the internet lives forever. So like,
would you be scared of people being able to read your mind?
They can't read my mind.
No, I'm saying, would you be scared? Would you be scared of people being able to read your mind? Like, would you like that?
Oh, I think a lot of bad things.
I know.
Yeah, no. And sometimes I say them out loud, and then people look at me like, "What's wrong with you? You shouldn't say that." So yeah, I wouldn't want people reading my mind.
Right, it's weird. Like, would it be an effective advertising tool if people could read your mind?
Normally, in order for the public to react to something, right? Like 9/11.
Yeah.
The way that we got the Patriot Act was 9/11 happening. It caused a concern for people to go, no, we need the government to step in and protect us because these bad guys living in caves 4,000 miles away want to destroy us. So people bought in.
Right.
There hasn't COVID. They got people to comply with COVID.
Yep.
Right. But they also had to bribe them. Do you remember when Bill de Blasio was like, oh, I have free burgers?
For lockdown, they didn't really have to bribe them. Lockdown, they were scared enough, but
That's true. Lockdown, I complied. I complied at first with lockdown, and a lot of Americans did. Yeah. You didn't?
No.
I got paid to take the vaccine.
Really?
My work paid, the job I had at the time was like everybody.
Not here. Let's be very clear.
I did.
This was the job
I had before.
We actually pay you not to get the vaccine.
I wish I did. I really wish I didn't. My family convinced me. But yeah, so it was this whole thing where they're like, everybody has to, you know, get the vaccine twice in order to like continue working here. And then they're like, well, you can do it during work hours, and we'll pay you to go get it. So I went and got it twice.
But so this is kind of like what they did there. There is no major global problem. There's no attack. There's no virus. There's no pandemic to get people to comply. So what are they doing to offer to get people to comply?
They incentivize you with money because you're getting free Worldcoin. It's now just called World because they rebranded. But the point is you get your ID verified, and then anytime you want to access the account, it just scans your retina. And you can get in, and they're actually partnering with Visa, apparently, to create a real-world system in which you can convert World over into real currency through the Visa systems so that you can spend it at the stores.
So
the banks usually hate the crypto, so the fact that Visa's that quick to get in is really concerning.
Yeah, but
there's two different
wanted to touch on something real quick, Kelly, because this directly pertains to you because you were involved in this. You have to remember that this is OpenAI. This is Sam Altman.
Yeah.
You sat down with the parents of Sushir Balaji, the whistleblower who was saying that OpenAI has been going around copyright law to train its chatbots on protected materials. Think about what they could be doing with biometric data to train AIs. There's all sorts of implications on this. And and like Rob was saying, anytime you see them when they're not trying to fearmonger you into something, they're tantalizing you with something great over here. Remember when Metaverse was going to take over everything and like everything was going to move to the Metaverse?
Yes, everybody was buy property in the Metaverse. It's going to be worth money.
That was dumb.
While everybody was buying property in the Metaverse, and Snoop Dogg bought a mansion, and you could, have your property values increase by how close your Meta mansion was to Snoop's. Zuckerberg and Bill Gates were buying up real world property aggressively, including farmland. And nobody talked about that. But while they're like, oh, look, go online, buy this fake thing, buy this non-real asset, they're securing everything behind your back.
Real assets.
First of all, I just want to go back and say the COVID thing is much different than this thing. Like, people did the COVID thing so that they wouldn't die and they wouldn't kill their family members.
That's what they were told.
That's why I did it, because I was forced by my work, by my family. It wasn't about the money for me. It was about the fact that my grandmother lives with us. I don't want to kill her because I physically went to work during COVID. Like, I was in an office and I was ostracized because I interacted with people and I didn't stay home. I didn't have a work from home job. So I was told I'm going to kill my grandmother if I don't get this vaccine. So that's different than somebody doing it for money. But buying in a virtual, has anybody ever seen or read the book Ready Player One?
Yes.
Like, that's literally what will happen. And everybody lives in stacks and you have no life and you're overweight and you have no skills and you have no friends. And like, there has to be a limit, a balance. And like, but I think a lot of people are smart enough not to lean into that fully.
But
they have 12 million people who looked at the orb and let it scan their eyes and their face to access this thing that is supposed to be the building block of universal basic income.
yeah.
We can talk for hours about how terrible an idea UBI is, but the reality is if we're approaching a point where AI and robots are doing everything, then UBI becomes completely necessary because there's no work left for humans to do.
Yeah.
So
So an
I think we're
optimistic view of that
innovative.
though is that like we just can't imagine the things that will be left for us to do yet. Because like I do think that like I think the best thing in the world would be for things to get to the point where like food, energy, housing, and transportation are like dirt cheap, where it's like everybody in the world could have it because of how easy it is and cheap it is to produce it. Like there would be no need for crime and like no need for desperation if that was the case, and people would be left to do like above and beyond things they want to do. And like if you want like really serious wealth, then pursue
That's
it.
the most optimistic thing I've ever heard you say.
I say that all
love
the time.
That. I love that.
I've been constantly saying the most important thing is for food, energy, housing to be dirt cheap.
But you don't think somebody would be creative and be like, "Well, I want more, and I
No,
want."
I'm saying like
he has.
once we get that, like then people can decide like, all right, I'm lazy, and like I'm cool just having the simple things. That's like almost free, so I'm good with it. Or I want cooler things, so I'm gonna try to do cooler things.
So, are you pro UBI?
No, I would rather achieve that through like supply side, like just, like deflationary innovation is the thing where like a TV used to be
Kind of the
$10,000.
same, but yeah.
No, like deflationary, like that's what happened with TVs. They used to be like $10,000, and now we make them more cheaply. So like, why isn't the same thing that happened with houses?
And
Like
we've-
because of stupid government
We've discussed
policies.
it before of like what could happen if everybody embraces nuclear energy and we look into desalination for seawater
Yeah,
and water
vertical
basically
farming.
becomes a widely available resource.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Chris.
Well, I'd love to know about these 12 million people who are already lined up, because
Yeah.
even me, myself, obviously you guys know I'm not as in deep as this stuff as you all are, but I think about last year, I would travel a ton. I was flying back to New York, back to here, back to New York, back to here. And there'd be times I'd be late for the plane, and they'd tell me, come on over here. Just
To
let us
clear.
scan you for
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah.
And so many times I battled with it. Like, am I going to let them do this? And I
kill
would
you with
never cave. And I'm just like, seems like anybody at this point who's done any semblance of research is going to be hesitant to just jump in line for something like that. There's a video that I saw trending at like a Publix or what we had in New York at Stop and Shop. And there's this lady who's just so excited to scan her thumb, and they just charge her card. And she's like, and I'm like, oh, you moron.
Yeah, well, think
like,
you-
how
like,
could,
you-
like,
you
I
kill you with
pay while
convenience.
waving your
Right.
hand, or we have
wristbands
the
that-
wristbands.
Yeah,
We have a real ID mandate going into effect in what 15 days.
Yeah.
Where now you must have the government mandated real ID in order to travel by plane or enter a
I
government
think that's
building.
a good idea.
And it's a debatable subject because
share
honestly
data.
it's been in place since 2005, so it's not a great thing to debate now this late in the game. Most
years
of our
later.
driver's license are already real ID compliant for the most part,
Yeah.
but it's the constant push of new forms of digital ID and more convenience of, you know what if instead of entering a PIN or using a card, it's just your thumbprint. It's just your retina scan. It's just, your whole biometric workup. It's for your security and convenience mostly. Well, there's always a dark side to that. And like Brandon said at the top of the segment, when you get something for free, you are the product. Mm-hmm. And right now we are seeing that the tech bros, who are definitely the new global
Top
elite
dog.
Power class, are aggressively marketing things that, for our own convenience, allegedly, have us give over more and more of our personal information down to the very building blocks of your body for their own profit in ways they've never explained. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of concerning, I think. So like sometimes when you line up to stare into the future is staring right back at you. And we might not like what we see when we look into that thing.
Maybe a real blackout would be the best possible thing ever if we just got set back to the Stone Ages.
I kind of think
I think
so.
what was the guy's name? Ted Kaczynski?
Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber.
I think he just saw it all because he was smart enough to see the Matrix quickly and that kind of
Well, you also know about the MK Ultra stuff and the experiments that he was subjected to at Harvard. Right. He went to Harvard as a teenager. Yeah. He was a brilliant man. Terrible guy to receive things in the mail from. But as far as a genius, he was a certified genius. And then they started testing him with LSD while he was at Harvard. And then he went nuts, moved and built a cabin in the woods and started mailing bombs to people.
So he essentially saw a simulation in his head of where this is going to go. And
the Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been disastrous for the human race.
So if you like this clip, click right here. And if you want to see more like it, click right here. Stay angry, Patriots.